What's up, guys? It's your boy Vance, and I'm back with another video. And today we're gonna be talking about excuses, man. Excuses sound best to the ones who make them. I forgot who said that, but yeah. Like, excuses is the reason why people, average people are average. It's the reason why people aren't doing what they need to be doing, because they're comfortable. They keep telling themselves that excuse because it makes themselves feel good. When it's like, nah. Like with me, so many people, man, that'll come up to me like, oh, I wish I could work out, but my back hurt, or oh, I messed my knee up and I don't work out anymore. It's an excuses, man. It's something that they're saying to make themselves feel good about that. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, F that. You can find a way to get better. Stretch maybe, go to the doctor, see what the heck is wrong with you. Just do something. Doing something is better than not doing nothing. Just sitting stagnant, feeling sorry about yourself, especially if you're overweight, not feeling well, sick all the darn time. Like, you have work to do. I'm not going to feel sorry for you at all, because you know what you need to do. You put yourself in that predicament, you can put yourself out. Simple as that. It's not, people always like harsh and whatever, but nah. That's what's wrong with this new generation too, man, with this whole sad boy bull crap and all that. Like, man, you got to do that stuff for yourself. You feel me? You have to, like saying that goes too with your why and all that. Like, it has to be something greater than anything you've ever done in your life. It has to mean that much, And these excuses and stuff, all they're gonna do is hold you back. You got to be able to look past that. And like I said, because even with me, excuses are in my head, but I ignore them. I turn that switch off. They're there. I don't care. It's like, I kind of laugh at them sometimes, and then like the excuses that some of these people come up with is crazy, but it sounds good to them. They probably said it over and over and over again. That's what they always say to people. And then y'all hear them people that's like, oh, you had a guy you maybe grew up with, or a girl you grew up with, and they were like a beast when they were younger, and then when they get older, they're like, oh yeah, I used to be a beast, but now I got old. And they're like in their 30s or 40s or even 50s or even 60s. Like, you're not that old. Like, you can keep, you might be, you're saying that because that's what other people say, That's what other people say to make themselves feel good, and that's an average thing that you just took over, and now you're saying it. Because I know 60, 70, 80, 90-year-olds that's freaking still up and running, moving around like they in their 30s, 20s, you feel me? Like, it's all up to what the heck you do with your life. And these excuses are going to deteriorate, it's going to deteriorate your mind over time. You have to be, because excuses is just poison. That's how I look at excuses. It's all poison. You have to be able to, like I said, come up with a plan and execute. Stop just, it could be right there. It's small habits that leads to big habits. That's the whole, when people say like discipline and motivation. As I say, motivation is a spark, but discipline, yes, discipline keeps gets the job done. Motivation gets you started. Discipline gets the job done. But at the end of the day, it all starts with motivation, but then you have to find that discipline, start building that discipline over time, And like I said, man, your excuses, man, you got to be able to, look at them and just be like, why are you here? What really is that? Like when you wake up in the morning, the pillow might feel soft. Just 1, 2, 3, jump up. Let's see what happens, If, like I said, it's raining outside and you're like, I don't want to go to the gym, it's raining outside. What happens if you just, throw on a coat, get in the car, then what happens? Turn the car on and go to the gym. Like, it's that simple, I got my little kids right here, at the house. I can't go to the gym. I can't work out. Oh, but you slap on some TV, or maybe they might do some workout with you. Put it on TV and do some workouts at home. You don't have to go to the gym. You can do workouts at home. There's always a way. And you don't want to do that, and that's the problem. You're comfortable with where you're at, but you know that you need to change. You know the answer. All of y'all know the answer. And I remember that one quote that David Goggins said where, it's like all these excuses and all that. And he's like, see, that's what's wrong with a lot of average people. And that's why me, people like him, obviously, and others and other great people, that's why we succeed. Because we do what the average people aren't doing, Because they're too busy making excuses, going to all of these, they even try to listen to audios and all this stuff, but they're not putting no action together, no plan together. They're not taking action. They're not doing nothing. So they're just listening. It's just words, going through one ear and out the other. It's like they know the answer, They just don't want to do it because they're lazy. They'd rather sit back or live their life through someone else rather than their own. They're too busy distracted with social media or, the game, just all this bull crap that when you, at the end of the day, you need to take care of yourself. Make sure your job, your job, your priorities, your goals, all of that stuff is being met, And if it's not being met, you have work to do. You can't be sitting at the house and, trying to get people to feel sorry for you. Because like I said, people like me and other people that actually are working and doing great things, they're not going to feel sorry for you at all. And why should we? What's the point? We're just wasting our time. Even if you ask us, if you ask us like how to be better, we might help you one time. But if we see that you just going to keep doing what you're doing, in the past and whatever, and not taking action, that's on you. We're probably not going to help you again. You have to, then at that point, you have to prove it, because it's like, you all talk. And that's another thing. A lot of y'all need to stop talking and just do it. Y'all talk too much. That false dopamine gets the best of a lot of people. It sounds good. It sounds good when you tell your friends, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Or, your loved one, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they're like, yeah, it's cool. But are you actually going to do it? I see all these posters on social media where they'd be like, oh, comment great and you're going to be a millionaire, or comment great and your goals, you're going to meet your goals. You're going to do this. And everybody's like, they commented and you can post it on their story. But they go home and do nothing. It's not going to happen. That's one of the things too where, one of my other videos, I put like a lot of people, like say, let's say y'all are, believe in God or believe in whatever you believe in. But at the end of the day, they give you another life. They give you another day to live. Like I said, they give you another day to live. They give you a good energy, good drive, whatever. But it's still up to you to do the work and get the job done. They just give you another day. That's it. What are you going to do in that day to make sure your job gets done? You can't just keep saying, oh, as long as I, pray or do this and that, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. You have to do the work. Praying, like I said, he's giving you another day. But what are you going to do in that day to make sure it gets happen? You can't sit here and say, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to have my own business. But then sit at home and sit on the couch and eat whatever the heck you want to eat and bull crap. How are you going to start your own business if you don't actually start your business? That's the thing that a lot of people think that, they actually think that way. They think that, oh, if I, do this, good luck is going to happen. Like, make it happen. Stop. You're waiting around for it to happen. Make it happen. Go out and go get it. Stop sitting around waiting for it to happen. Go get it. And with all these excuses and all this stuff, man, it all ties together. People make excuses because it makes them feel good about themselves right then and there. But it's all temporary. Because as soon as you get old to the point where you can't do some of the stuff that you wanted to do, that's a regret. That's going to eat you alive, man. You got to go, that's going to be with you for the rest of your life. That's going to go with you into the grave. When you could have just said, all right, forget this, and did the work. You feel me? Depending on some of y'all goals and stuff, yes, y'all could probably still do it when you're old. It might be a little harder, but you can still do it. I've seen, like I said, people become millionaires at obviously young age, and you see some that become at like 60, 70, 80, whatever. It's still doable. It just might be a little harder. But you don't want to sit there and wait all that time. Just do it now. Get the job done. Become the best version of yourself. The version that you thought was impossible. Because you can make that impossible become possible. Because people do it every day. That's why records are being broken. When they do their own, PRs, personal records, they thought that it was impossible to reach all of that. Like me, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's funny with me, when it comes to like this weightlifting stuff, man. My goals, like especially for squat, for instance, my goal is just 500. I did that, and I kept going. I was like, oh, I'll do more. Same thing with like leg press. I think my goal was like, I want to say it was like 800 or something like that, or 700. And yeah, I've squatted over, or I've leg pressed over like 1,400 pounds. I've hack squatted over 1150, you know. I've bench pressed over 400 and was my max is 425. I probably can't do that now. This was a while back, but that was my max of all time. You know, it was 425. I just wanted to do 300. That was my goal when I was younger. You know, I just wanted to do 300, bench 300. I went beyond that. You know, but the thing is like I said, you put these goals and then you break them. But to be great, you have to keep adjusting and moving them better. You know, higher. Don't move them down. Move them up. Like I said, keep proving yourself wrong. You know, I prove myself wrong every day. You know, one of my goals were to reach. I wanted to help 5,000 people not commit suicide from January of this year, 2025, to July 2025, and I reached that goal in June, so last month, and on the I think it was like the 13th or something like that, 13th or 12th. The moral of the story is I did it before that, and I told myself I was going to do that, and I did it. You know, because that's my goal. My goal is helping people. You know, a lot of people are struggling right now. A lot of people's mental health are not good. You know, some of them were born like that. But I always tell people, you can always get out of that. You know, whether it's your environment. That's why I always tell people, you're not, like, people always think that, oh, because you're in this environment, you know, that's all. That's, you know, no, like, you can get out of that environment. You know, you might, you know, be raised in that environment, but you can always be better than that environment. That environment does not prove who you are. You know, people don't care where you're from. Everybody, you know, you ask somebody, like, I'm from there. Who cares? Nobody cares, man. Nobody cares. What are you going to do to make sure your job gets done? You feel me? That's what matters. And all these excuses and all this stuff, you got to leave that mess in the past. Move forward and become the best version of yourself. And remember, never stay satisfied. All right, y'all. See you at the next video.